Welcome into Three Questions with Jerry Hamilton. Jerry is a senior national recruiting analyst for On3 and Inside Texas. Jerry, we're going to hit you with three questions, the first of which being, how real is the Arch Manning effect when it comes to Texas recruiting right now? Because they're hot.
Yeah, they're hot, and I think it's a huge effect, positive effect. And I think it affects more than just 2023, but beyond 2024, 2025. Look, some people would argue that, but I've been in this 2 decades now, and I remember when Chris Sims flipped from Tennessee to Texas in 1999, that class, how that kind of kick-started Mack Brown in Texas, and then Corey Redding committed. That was the USA Today Parade Offensive and Defensive Players of the Year. But Chris Sims kind of gave a resurgence nationally to Texas football. And that was needed right now for Steve Sarkisian in Texas football. And Arch Manning does that immediately. I mean, you've seen 11 commitments since Arch committed, maybe 11 counting him, but 5, 6 4-star prospects. John Tay Cook, big-time receiver out of DeSoto. Arch has reached out to a number of guys. Heck, Cooper Manning's reached out to a couple of fathers of prospects. So I think it's real, and I think it's going to carry over to more than a 2023 class, and will definitely affect offensive skill recruiting in 2024 and 2025 because, Texas is – I label it as a cool school. If you can become a cool school in recruiting, you really resonate with kids. And Texas was that in the early 2000s, whether that was Chris Sims, Roy Williams, Cedric Benson, going to Vince Young, TJ Ford, Kevin Durant. It carries over from more than football. Won national titles in baseball. But Texas lost that cool school feel for about a decade now. And Arch helps them get that back. And people can't underestimate that in recruiting.
Yeah, and the ball is really rolling right now. They've got a lot of steam. In your estimation, how high can this recruiting class finish in the rankings when it's all said and done? Because they're flirting with the top 5 class right now.
Yeah, it signed the number 5 class last year. I think this class will be better. A lot of that's going to come down to the 5-star prospects in Texas, though. Anthony Hill, David Hicks, those are massive recruiting battles that are coming down. Anthony Hill's A&M versus Texas. David Hicks, he has a top 7, but look, it's Texas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. He'll be at Oklahoma the last weekend in July for their big recruiting weekend. But that's what it's really going to come down to. Texas is going to sign another top 5 class, but if they hit on a couple of the 5-star prospects they're still in on, then I think they have a chance to finish as a number 2 class. I think Alabama's going to have a pretty good class, it looks to me like. Could Texas challenge for one? Potentially, but that, the interesting thing with the recruiting class in 2023 for Texas is if they get off to a hot start on the field, then I think that can carry over to more momentum in 2023 class, closing that class out. So you might get in on a couple of national prospects that you aren't right now. Texas offered Jordan Hall, the defensive tackle out of Jacksonville, Sunday. He put that out Monday. Look, he's going to be a top 30 kid in the class overall. For us at On3, I think at the end of the day, he's a big-time defensive tackle prospect. Now he says he wants to visit. He's friends with Sadir Mitchell. Sadir Mitchell commits to Texas over Georgia. Hall's leaning to Georgia. Can Texas win another one of those battles that could help push you to challenge for number 1? It's definitely going to be a second top 5 class. The question is it going to finish 3, 2, or challenge for 1?
And you mentioned it, what they do on the field this fall, it feels like will only continue to bolster this class and obviously get them more and more commits. What is your expectation when it comes to the 2022 season, if you had to put a win total to it for Texas?
Yeah, I'm sitting around 8-4 or 9-3. I think they're going to be really potent on offense. Look, I think Quinn Ewers, I think he'll win the quarterback job because he throws the ball vertically so well. But if he does, you're talking about a guy who has no college experience, right? So how in game 2s against Alabama, right? And you chalk that up as a loss, but there's going to be a learning curve if he wins the job. But adding Isaiah Nayor to go with Xavier Worthy and then Jordan Whittington back from injury, if Texas is healthy at wide receiver, they're going to be really potent. Isaiah Nayor, just watch him in the spring. He looks like a future NFL draft pick. And Xavier Worthy, he's a first, second round type talent. He's a big time player. And then Bijan Robinson, probably a first round pick at running back. Roschon Johnson will be a player in the NFL, and he's the backup running back. He'll make an NFL roster. So the talent is so good at the skill position, it's going to mask a young, still growing offensive line which you can do easily in college football. Look at Clemson's offensive line. They haven't had any guys drafted really high, but they had such great pieces everywhere around that they could mask that deficiency a little bit in terms of an offensive line versus in Bama or Georgia. So I think that's really a number. But, JD, here's the crazy thing. You circle a game at Kansas as a revenge game. Who thought that with Texas football ever?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like in 2022, Texas has got some revenge to take care of. And I mean, that Kansas game, like you mentioned, is going to be one place that I'm sure they're going to make sure they take care of business.
Kansas football is a revenge game. I mean, that's just crazy.
Crazy times in college football these days. But, Jerry, thank you so much for making time, man, to talk to us about everything going on the 40 acres. Appreciate you making some time. Folks, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, we're going to have experts on like Jerry on a weekly basis, so make sure you do that. Jerry, thanks again for all your help.
You got it, JD. See you next time.
Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.